I get a knock on my door. We're taking you to the hospital. I was completely yellow. I had no idea how bad I actually was. They sent in a social worker to have me get my affairs in order. He told me, "You're gonna die."
What was the moment of realization that made you say, "That's it, I'm done"?
Okay, so we're gonna have to rewind a bit, quite a long ways. And this is gonna be interesting because the thing that you'd think would be my why and the thing that made me quit, it's backwards from what you would think. So, in my 20s, I grew up in a resort town. And I was working in real estate and working in restaurants and bartending and all of that. I graduated in a very small class. And basically, I was working up there just trying to, make ends meet in that kind of a town. Everybody has multiple jobs, right? So as a bartender, you end up drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And it's really hard not to. And anyway, I got to a point where I was drinking all the time. And eventually it got to the point where I was drinking while I was working, which
Bartending?
Yeah.
I did too, but the owner let us drink.
Well, yeah, that was the situation here. Except for that one night it went a little bit too far. And I got fired. And I had recently separated from my husband, and I was in a new relationship with a person who was also a bartender. I'm now divorced, by the way. But anyway, so I had been fired, and at that point, I was actually very physically dependent on alcohol. To the point it was I needed to drink in order to work. I couldn't hand somebody a beer without shaking. So I would have to drink before work, drink during work, and all of that. And so after I got fired, I was unemployed and living in a condo alone, basically. I mean, I was with the guy that I was with, but he was gone working. I was just there all day. And so I would just drink because I felt so awful when I wasn't drinking that, I mean, I was shaking so bad. I would get horribly dizzy. I couldn't eat at that point. Because I would just, not only would I feel icky after I ate, my mouth just wouldn't produce any saliva. I couldn't, the thought of eating was horrific. I just couldn't do it. So I kept drinking and drinking and drinking. And then one day my boyfriend at the time, he was getting ready to go to work, and we went outside to smoke a cigarette. And he asked if he could take a picture of me. And I was like, well, why? And so then he left for work or whatever. And I get a knock on my door an hour later, and it's my old boss, the one where I had been let go from, and one of my coworkers. And they were like, "Get your shit, we're taking you to the hospital." And I was like, "What?" So then they showed me the photo that my boyfriend had taken, and I guess I just didn't know there wasn't much light getting in the condo. I was completely yellow, my eyes were yellow, everything. So they took me to the hospital, and I got admitted and everything. I had no idea how bad I actually was. My feet were so swollen, I could only wear slippers. And honestly, leading up to that point, this was a second story condo, and I could not make it down those stairs like on my feet. I had to do it on my butt and like scooch down one stair at a time because so much muscle had gone from my legs. And so I kind of had to scooch down on my butt. And that was just to, I'm really embarrassed to say this, but that was just enough so I could get down and go get more alcohol. And honestly, I knew I was in rough shape as far as, my addiction to alcohol and the physical dependency, but I had looked into going to rehab, but I had no insurance at that time. My ex-husband and I we owned our own business, and we couldn't afford it. I mean, it would have been like a whole other mortgage payment. So we didn't have insurance, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, I can't afford rehab. I don't know what to do. And I had gone to the ER one time, and they said, well, there's nothing we can really do for you. So you just need to go home, take your vitamins. And I was like, oh, okay. So this time when my boss and the other coworker came and took me to the hospital, they basically ended up saying, we need to airlift you to here.
Yeah.
And, it's a 2-hour drive, but they told me that I didn't have 2 hours.
What?
So, yeah. And so they loaded me in the Life Flight helicopter, and that is how I moved here. And I was in ICU for a week. I had an acute attack, acute alcoholic hepatitis, which I was told when I was in ICU that my chances were not good. They sent in a social worker to have me get my affairs in order.
Your affairs in order?
Yeah. And the doctor that originally was my doctor, whatever you want to say, I was not very nice to that man, and I wish I could have fight him and apologize. But he told me he basically said, you're gonna die. And I specifically remember looking at him and saying, get out of my room.
Yeah.
Send me somebody else. Anybody but him. Get him out of here.
No alcoholic wants to hear that they're going to die from.
No. No. So, they sent in another guy. Thank goodness. And that guy was very, very nice. And he said, well, listen to me. If you do everything I say and you quit drinking, you got a shot. Not you're gonna. It was you got a shot. And that meant you might have a few years or something like that if I made it through the initial part. So, and it's kind of like, it's not really a talked about physical issue that comes from alcohol. Nobody really talks about it. Everybody knows about cirrhosis, things like that, but not many people know about alcoholic hepatitis.
I think I did a video on it way back, like last year sometime. I think I did a video, and the alcohol hepatitis was mentioned in it.
Yeah. And so when it's to that point, and it's that severe, everything kind of starts shutting down. Other organs as well. So that's kind of how that happened. And that, should have been enough.
Should have been enough. I was waiting for that.
But, when they told me that I was going to have to quit drinking forever, I was like, You're kidding, right? Like that's how ingrained it was into my like everyday behavior thought pattern. Like I was like, what would I do for fun? How am I gonna what? Like it was such a part of my everyday life and had been. That's the only way I socialized. It's the only way anything. And yeah, I wish I could say that I quit forever after that, but I didn't.
How long after that did you start drinking again?
That kept me good for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. And then the guy that I had been dating, we broke up. And dating is difficult sober. But so with this stint of sobriety, my current one, and really it was before that too. Like after when I started drinking again after that stint of sobriety, it wasn't it was never like it was ever.
Okay.
It wasn't, it never got that way. I never got, blacked out. I never even got really drunk again after that. So we can give it that. I did learn something.
You learn not to get physically dependent on it.
Nah, exactly. And no, and I didn't ever get really, really drunk or anything like that again. And I never got out of hand. But let me tell you, it's very hard to keep it not out of hand.
Especially for those of us that can't moderate.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it was just like a constant battle. It was a constant battle to not let it get that way. And like it was just like this constant feeling of like I'm deprived, this is awful, and so but there came a point when I just had this mindset shift that I not only did I want to not drink at all anymore, I wanted to have a different kind of life. I finally found something to run toward rather than to run away from. And I think that was the key of what really made the difference of wanting to be sober. So the 90 days is, I guess that I would call that my emotional sobriety. The mindset shift happened a lot longer ago.
Okay.
A lot longer ago. And it was, wanting to actually have like a healthy relationship, wanting to maybe have a family. Yeah. You definitely can't get pregnant and definitely can't stay pregnant if you want to.
Healthily. You can't healthily get pregnant and carry a baby if you're physically dependent on it. I only say that because I know somebody personally, she died now because of alcohol. The last time, this was like it's 20 years ago almost, she was taking shots, drinking bottles of wine all in one night while she was full-blown pregnant. That baby to this day has heart problems. So that's why I say help, like,
right. Right, because I like the type of person I am, I would feel like my brain would not let me do that. My brain wouldn't let me do it.
Good for you.
So yeah, there was something to run towards finally. And I had a really, really terrible relationship that I had to get out of. And he would not quit drinking. He just wouldn't. And so I finally had to just say enough is enough. And, it definitely that relationship really changed the way I view things, for sure.
And sometimes it takes those toxic relationships to help get rid of those toxic other things in our life.
To me, I really feel like it's a toxic mindset. It's more so because any kind of so actually I had a really awesome opportunity to be on a call. It was a Zoom call with have you heard of Dopamine Nation, the book?
It kind of sounds familiar, but no.
It was written by Dr. Anna Lemke. She's a professor at Stanford University, and she was on the Huberman Lab podcast.
Oh, I love Huberman.
Yes. So you might check out her episode that she did with him. Anyway, I happened to be on a call with her and got to ask her some questions. It was like a virtual kind of meeting. She spoke a little bit and then they opened it up to questions. And she was actually talking about the purpose of the talk was the drugification of social media.
Drugification?
That's what the poster said for the little call. Wow. The drugification of social media. And she was just talking about, addictive behaviors, whether it's like a process behavior, gambling, phone usage, social media, all of that. And substances also, but how it all, the way the brain works, it's the same for all of these things, regardless of whether there's a substance. So, I mean, I think the topic of addiction is becoming more and more relevant every day. I mean, regardless of whether it's alcohol or drugs or anything, it's really is kind of an issue all around, I feel.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend in high school. I want to say her dad actually went to Gamblers Anonymous. But
yeah,
I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very interesting where she was talking about the differences in brains of like somebody who gambles. Like for me, if I gamble and I win, yay, I do get some reward system stuff going on. But a person that gambles compulsively, they get the most reward in their brain when there's a 50-50 shot of winning and losing. They get more reward if, like, in their times of gambling, they lose half the time. But for me, I'd be like, no, thank you. I'm done. Like, I'll cash out. I'm done.
Yeah. Losing money seems like, I don't know. Well, you're losing your life the more you drink, but like losing money is like so instant that.
Right.
No, thanks.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a good topic to bring up, is that it's the delayed gratification. The inability to delay it is really relevant to addiction of any kind, Yeah. So I because with dating, because I, dipping my toe back into the dating pool and everything, and it's like I'm like, I hate dating. I just want to get to the relationship part. But, you cannot do that. If you want a good relationship, you can't do that.
Yes, we got to get to learn the person before we commit to it.
Right. I'm like, nah, can we just fast forward? No, can't. No, can't.
So you have gone on dates sober?
Yeah, I have. And I actually recently started a new relationship. So it's.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, okay. I had another single lady on, and she hasn't gotten into the dating world yet sober. So tell me a little bit about the dating world sober, because I have a lot of people that actually ask about this, and obviously I'm married with 2 children, and so I can't really get feedback.
I think I'm one of the people that asked you about it, actually.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So the first thing that I can say is you need to know yourself and you need to set out ahead of time. Like, what are your triggers? Can you be around someone that drinks? If you can you be around them if they're drunk? Can you be around someone that has one beer every day? Can you be around someone that has 5 beers a couple times a week? You need to know this. You need to know yourself. I mean, and really, I think that's the major key to sobriety. And it's really hard in the beginning because with pause, I don't know if you've heard of pause or read about it at all. It's it's post-acute withdrawal syndrome. And after quitting any addictive substance, your body will, there are withdrawal symptoms right away, but your brain chemistry takes quite a while to rebalance itself. Like,
oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Sometimes I like have this retaining information problem. I'm sure that's my ADHD, but yes, I have heard of it. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, ADHD too. I also struggle with that affliction, and it does make us a lot more prone to addiction, unfortunately.
Ugh.
But so during that post-acute withdrawal time frame, which can last up to 2 years, that's not pleasant news.
No.
But yeah, it can last up to 2 years, and so trying to navigate emotions and things like that, and really taking that time to get to know yourself during that time period. And that's why many experts will say not to date within your first year. I think it really depends on the person. I think it really depends how well you know yourself, how much like inner work, because as much as we're, it sounds like, when you quit drinking, but like it's just about alcohol, or you quit an addiction and it's just about that addiction, but it really isn't. Mm-hmm. I think addiction is a symptom of something else. And and so I think it probably depends on the person, but I would say for anybody, no matter, how long you've been sober, it's really important to get to know yourself really well and to know what's going to trigger you. To really kind of figure out what you can handle, and maybe not even what you can handle, but what's something that you're going to want. Are you going to want so you might be able to stay sober in a relationship with somebody that drinks, but are you going to be happy? Are they going to end up having the same goals that you have? Things like that. So I think with the dating thing, this has been my journey of discovery. What I found is that that you need to be upfront at first. If you have a history of addiction, maybe don't dump it all out on the table at your first date, but be upfront at least before your first date. Say, I don't drink, and see what kind of a response you get. Because, I think some people also find it intimidating to go on a date with somebody that doesn't drink, because then they feel awkward. And then I'm like, hey, are you judging me? Are you going to judge me if I drink? And, are you going to judge them if they drink? I mean, that's important stuff to think about.
Well, and like, so maybe they're judging you that because you're not drinking.
Mm-hmm. That too.
It's an awkward situation.
I think for the most part, the people are it's more of a self-conscious thing for the person that's drinking, because I think everybody knows now that drinking's not good for you. I mean, it's ethanol. I mean, do we want to be drinking that?
No,
I don't think so. And I think for the most part, maybe it's just because I've been around AA a lot, and I'm surrounded by like-minded people, but I think everybody knows intellectually that alcohol is just not good for you. It's just not. Do you want to be like, I mean, if you have your car and it needs gas, but you put sugar in it. Like, no, you don't do that.
There's actually a YouTube channel, and I don't know the name of it, but he actually goes to the liquor store and gets these older cars and puts bottles of liquor in them and runs the car to show you how disgusting alcohol actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hate to go and sound like, like I'm standing on my soapbox. Right? Just think about it. Like, if you have a brain in your head, it ain't good for you.
But as we're drinking it, I didn't know. I swear on my life, I did not realize that alcohol was ethanol and that I was drinking what I was putting in my gas tank until I started researching alcohol. And, well, here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. I mean, it's so bad that your liver literally stops doing everything else that it does in order to get it out. I mean, our livers are amazing. Speaking as someone who had one that was about ready to cut loose, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Like, Felicia, I gotta go.
Yeah, pretty much. But they're able to recover. It's just that we're doing it, even doing it as much as I was doing it for how many years, and the amount I drank, you don't even want to know. But like my liver recovered. It's called liver for a reason. You're not going to be a liver without your liver. You have a different name,
That's awesome. Dating sober isn't as bad as you thought it was going to be.
No, and it really actually helps you. I think it helps you weed out a lot of people that aren't aligned with your goals. And
well, you're not drunk, you're not masked, you're fully present, and so it's not like, oh, what do they call them? Whiskey glasses.
Beer goggles with you.
Yes, beer goggles. Sorry, Morgan Wallen's song came in my head. But,
yeah. Have you ever noticed how many country songs are about drinking? All of them, pretty much.
Every single one, nearly. Especially, all of them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, I mean, I just wish it wasn't so normalized. But the other thing is, and you've talked about it. I know you've talked about it a lot. Feeling your feelings. It's like the great part about quitting drinking is you get your feelings back. And the bad part about drinking is you get your feelings back. Yeah, it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with.
Because when we're drunk, they just kind of like shoot out of us. We don't have time. We don't get to like think it through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least for me, I would just vomit my emotions. Now I have time to just figure it out before I lash out. I'm not much of a lash out person. And as a sober person, I don't have much of a filter either.
But it's there. Everything's more intense. Everything's a lot more intense now. So I guess, but everything's intense in a different way. Oh my gosh. Okay. For once, this Gemini rising is having a hard time coming up with words for it. But it's like the emotions they're deeper in you, if that makes sense.
It does. And that's a good way to put it, because it's so hard to explain to somebody that hasn't been sober long enough, like, what these feelings are. And you just have to push through it and actually let them process. And you have to process them, but it's not fun. But
no.
Yeah. I mean, I literally sat in the shower and cried because I was like, I don't know what to do with these emotions.
Mm-hmm. No, and seriously, like, it's been a journey for me. like I said, it's been a long one. It's been a long one. It's been a kind of landing like I know if it
Just coming in for landing, but
yeah.
gonna take like a 40-hour descent before.
Yeah, exactly. So, but having that bad relationship, that gave me a lot of opportunity to really look at myself a lot, take responsibility for my part in it, that's something that AA is really actually very, very helpful.
Thank you for bringing that up. I was gonna ask
Yeah.
you to talk about your AA experience. I know a lot of us, or some of us have and some of us haven't been. So, as a female, please tell me your experience.
So initially, when I moved here, when I, got out of the hospital and everything, I didn't want to do it. Kicking and screaming, I wasn't gonna do it. Wasn't gonna do it. Um, because I thought, why on earth would I get together with a bunch of people to talk about the one thing that I can't do anymore? What would be the point of that? I was like, that would be triggering to me, I feel like. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what it was about, what the whole point of it is. And really, having been a part of AA now for a while, quite a while, it's much less about not drinking and so much more about being a human and getting through life, finding ways to deal with emotions, ways to deal with stressful things in your day that don't involve a substance. It's really about creating bonds with other humans that have been through the same things that you have, because you'll hear your story when you go to a meeting. You'll hear your story in somebody else, and you'll go, wait, what? That's not just me. And you'll find that you're not as fucking unique as you think you are. I'm sorry.
I don't care.
You're not as unique as you think you are. A lot of people have had the same experience that you have. And it's like I thought that it would be triggering because everybody's talking about alcohol, but no, it's not. It's, yeah, do we talk about alcohol all the time? Hey, sure we do. But it's not, it's like a bonding experience. I don't know. The way the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, the way the big book explains it is like people that survive a shipwreck together,
Oh, that's
they're
cool.
like, they're going to be bonded for life, kind of in a way that no one else that wasn't on that shipwreck could be. And it really is true. It's weird. I never thought I would say something like that, but it is true. And it's amazing. If you ever go, to a meeting, you'll get what I mean.
So, you've gone physically or in person and virtually?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I only do Zoom now.
Okay. Is that like post COVID?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the reason I do Zoom now, though, is, well, for one, traffic.
Oh,
And
what are you talking about? There's no traffic here.
yeah, so traffic. And then also, I did find that there were some in-person meetings where there were people there that got the, I guess, as they call it, the nudge from the judge. A lot of people had the nudge from the judge, and maybe they were mostly there for attendance verification, and not because they wanted to be. Which, I mean, I don't know. I've never had any legal issues related to
But
alcohol.
they're not going to change if just because the law told them to.
Right. Right. And you can still get attendance verification for Zoom meetings too. It's just that I found in my experience that the people that are on the Zoom meetings, at least the ones that are speaking and participating and sharing, they really want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, and they're there because they want to change their lives. And I've made some amazing friendships that way. Zoom really has been really awesome. I've connected with people like aside from AA. I've found some groups of people that I really connect well with that way too. So I'm very grateful.
So is it a local AA group, but you just do Zoom?
No, actually, they're worldwide. I
Oh,
I know people all around the globe.
nice. So do I, but I mean, and some of you
No,
don't.
because of this.
It's funny because I know, I talk to people all over the world, but then I love when locals find me.
Right?
It's absolutely amazing.
No, I think I found your channel.
It's
I
been
don't
a
know
while.
how long you've been doing it.
I I think my first sober video went out in September 23.
Okay, so I think I first found you. It was probably not that long after that. It was probably maybe around January-ish, probably. I'm thinking. I'm trying to figure. I think it was probably then, and I didn't really. I just had watched a couple of your lives, and then I was like, oh, why don't I just talk to this? Yeah, might as well.
Might as well. She's only like 20 minutes away from me, minus the traffic.
Right? Yeah, not at rush hour. Jeez.
Oh, I hate going up that way. Yeah. We tried to go to dinner one night, or we did go to dinner one night, and it took us 45 minutes because I made a reservation for 6 o'clock. And I was like, who makes a reservation down in that area at 6 o'clock from my area? Because I'm off Amity. So yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh. But, so AA's been a huge part of your sobriety journey.
Yes. Yeah. That, and I also have a trauma therapist that I work with.
Like EMDR?
Yes, I do. Well, we haven't really been working that much on EMDR. That was the intention.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
I think it's one of the most awkward and hardest things ever. And I would always try to change the subject so we didn't do EMDR.
Yeah.
Like, I understand and it does work, but it was not for me.
I mean, I like it, what we've done so far, but I've just had other like things come up. And actually, I'm glad this topic came up because, especially being a female, I think that there's a lot of trauma-based reasons that, I mean, and this is true really for anybody, but for females too, I think there's a lot of women. I think it's, oh my gosh, I wish I had the statistic off the top of my head. But the number of women that have experienced a sexual assault is staggeringly high. And I think that
and there's no justice because alcohol was involved.
Yeah, that too. That too. And I mean,
they told me that they couldn't do anything because alcohol was involved, but you go and you search the internet and alcohol is the number one date rape drug.
It's true. And I mean, I think sometimes that working through those traumas is something that you should do. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say you should or anybody should. I think it was vital for me to work through those traumas right away.
Yeah,
because those kinds of things come up trying to, not think about those things. And
I'm glad that you brought this up because a lot of people actually don't talk about this. And I have my own story that I have not shared yet, but it's a really hard topic to talk about because a lot of women do not come out and talk about it. And then the women that I have talked about, they're like, oh my gosh, it happened to me too. It happened to me. And it's like, why is this disgusting like crime happening and nobody's doing anything about it? All because you were drinking? It doesn't give anybody the excuse to take advantage of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the hardest, it wasn't so much, at least for me, it wasn't even so much the actual assault that caused me the most grief going forward. It was the guilt that I felt.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems a little bit fucked up that I'm feeling guilty when I'm the victim.
No. And that's why EMDR is very, very important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something definitely that if you don't address those things right in the beginning, sobriety is going to be very hard.
Yeah. And then, like you said, you live with the guilt because you feel guilty, you feel ashamed, you feel all these emotions that you shouldn't be feeling. And then you justify like, oh, but I didn't do this. And it's like, it doesn't matter. There's no excuse for it.
Right.
I mean,
right. I could have done more. I could have done more to stop it. Or I could, yeah.
Yeah. I always justified, well, I went home and I changed into jeans and like a blouse. It's like my counselor would be like, you didn't need to justify that you changed it all. I was like,
right.
But in my head, because you said the guilt.
No, it's disgusting that I still, even after all this work, I still feel guilty. Like I didn't do enough to make it not happen.
Shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have done this. Shouldn't have, yeah. Definitely a big door to open.
Yeah.
And I think that more women should come forward and talk about it.
Yeah. And I mean, even if it's not to get legal justice, at least something to help another person, help another person feel okay talking about what happened to them, because talking about it does help,
Yeah,
it really does.
And then maybe it'll help, people like me and you heal from it.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and that kind of ties back into AA. One of the things that they always say is help another alcoholic, because and they'll have you, when you work with a sponsor, your sponsor will have you be of service. So whatever it is, like if you go to an in-person, it's like setting up chairs, making coffee, whatever. If you go to a Zoom one, it's being security, which this is a thing because, like how we used to prank call people when we were kids. No, okay. So kids, and it's mostly kids, will go on because there's a list of like all the AA meetings online where you can join on Zoom. Kids will jump on and say racial slurs. They will show like pornographic pictures, like jump on and do it. So I just want to let everybody know, in case you go out and get on a Zoom meeting and something loud and like that happens, that's what's called a Zoom bomber. And they're kids who have nothing better to do.
Who would have ever thought that?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So anyway, yes, they have security for a Zoom meeting.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm glad I got that out there in case anybody joins a meeting and they're like totally freaked out and they're like, oh, I don't want to be out here anymore. That's what that is. It's not anybody in the meeting. No.
It's like going to the hot springs here in Idaho. You don't know what you're going to get yourself into until you actually get there.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Oh man. So this time around, what was the hardest part of the first few days or weeks, and how did you push through?
Um, I hate to say this because I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Um, it wasn't hard this time. Um, there was no, like I said, there was no physical dependence, so I didn't have to deal with that. And it just, I found the pull to rather than just the run away from. And that's all I can say is that, you know, that and I'm sure you've heard people say you have to do it for you, right? But I mean, you have to do it for you. And like, I know you got kids, you're married, but you can't do it for them either. Like, it has to be like a thing that you are doing because you want to, for you, not for anybody else. Like, because so there's another AA saying, no matter what. Let me tell you, I have heard people go through some horrific things, but you can't start drinking after that. People that have lost their children, people that have lost everything.
Yeah.
But you have to have gotten to this point in your head where you say, no matter what, I'm not going to drink no matter what. And I can't ever guarantee 100% that I'm never going to drink again. I can't guarantee that. I don't have a crystal ball.
What, you don't?
I can guarantee that my intention is to never drink again. And my goal is to get to a place where that no matter what happens in my life, alcohol is not what I reach to.
Yeah. So do you feel like is it close enough, or is it still far out of reach? Like, if something super traumatic happened, do you think at this point in your sobriety you could push through no matter what?
I believe that I could. And the reason that I'm saying that is because I've developed a support network of people and a toolbox of tools that are allowing me to deal with being a human
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis instead of, picking up a drink, I pick up a phone.
That's a good one.
And that being of service thing, there's something to be said for when you've helped someone else get through something. Do you want them to see you do it?
Yeah.
No. So really, being of service is so much more than being of service to other people. It's about being of service to yourself because you're giving yourself more tools for your they call it an IRA. Your what is it? Your individual recovery account.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, like, and I've said it in several posts and videos, that if it wasn't for this community, I don't know how strong I would be. Because if I fail all of you. And then I feel like it would be so humiliating. I don't know. Like, does that make sense? Like, it keeps me going. It keeps, like,
Right.
I think it's fun. And when people tell me that I've gotten them sober for over a year, I'm like, holy crap, I'm doing something good. Like, and so I feel like that's like my service. I mean, I have not been to AA, but
Well, and really, I think the important part is building accountability
yeah.
and support. Like, do you have like a minimum of 10 people you can call if you think you're going to drink. You
Well,
have that.
yes, but do I like to pick up the phone and actually call people?
Oh,
No.
it's the 10,000-pound phone, don't you know?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, I have to call my nope, can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's really the biggest thing is, you know, creating friendships with people that can support you through this, and really it's best to have a lot of those be with another alcoholic because they're going to understand you in a way that no one else can.
Yeah, that's why sometimes I vent a lot through my posts. And then
We all need to.
and then I get the feedback and I'm like, holy crap, that's what I needed. Like it's definitely a community and I wish more people outside of this community and outside of these alcohol communities that need help would actually put their heart into it and actually see how helpful it is and maybe open their mind to, hey, I actually don't need to drink. I do want to be present for my family or, myself and feel better. Walk on my feet, not slide on my ass down the stairs.
Right. Yeah, and the benefit is once you choose to do it for you, you benefit everybody around you. All the people you love get a way better you. It's great.
It is. It is. Oh my gosh. So, have you had many shifts in friendships or family dynamics since you quit?
Um, no. Actually, no.
No.
Because when I moved here, it was kind of everybody that lived where I moved from, it just kind of fell off. The ones that stayed, because all of them that I hung out with there are still drinking, as far as I know. Then that was almost 10 years ago.
Oh.
So, yeah, they're all still drinking as far as I know. And
so you got a helicopter ride down here and you stayed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
pretty cool story.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. If I could have done it a different way, I probably would have.
Like when people ask you why you relocated,
I moved here on a helicopter. Sounds glamorous.
I was on my deathbed and
and they were like, "Oh, I think we'll give you a $50,000 ride."
Oh my gosh! Hopefully, you had insurance.
I had lifeline insurance. Yes, thanks to my stepdad. But yeah, I did. And no, my family relationships. My brother actually quit drinking. I guess I scared him with my thing 10 years ago. Well, I guess it's 9 now. 9 years. But yeah, my brother quit after that whole scenario. I don't know. He may have drank a few times after that, but like he quit drinking because he still bartended and then was sober, and so he quit because of that. I was raised in a really religious home. Alcohol was never in my home growing up.
Were you part of the main religion around here?
No. Different one.
So it's funny because you get it. Like when you say you don't drink, people automatically assume like, oh, I'm like, no, I drink coffee.
Yeah. I'm all good with caffeine.
Yeah. Like, put an IV of that in me.
Oh wait, and I'm 38 and don't have kids.
True.
There's that little factor too.
Man, I feel like we went over a lot. So for those listening who are curious or struggling, what advice would you give to someone considering taking that first step?
My advice, first of all, is get connected. Do your research. Learn what this substance is doing to your body. And if that doesn't scare you enough to want to definitely do it, maybe just try out a meeting. Maybe, look at some different recovery types of things, because not everything works for everyone. Meditation has been a huge thing for me. I don't know if you've heard of Recovery Dharma, but I'm a big fan of that as well.
Dharma?
Yeah, it's a Buddhist recovery program. There's actually a meeting here in town. One night a week. So definitely do that, and then get connected to people. Get connected to sober people. And as soon as you start seeing that life can still be fun, that there are other people out there that don't drink, because I think that's the biggest thing, is you feel isolated when you think about not drinking. But then once you start reaching out and trying to find other people that don't drink, you'll realize there's a lot more of us out there than you think. And I just think that if you can prove to yourself that you can still have fun, for one thing. Oh, something else. Start working out, for the love of God. Start working out, because if you're like just worried about you might still be drinking, maybe you're not drinking a lot, and you're like, well, if I only did every once in a while. Well, just start working out, because then you'll start feeling good anyway.
Yep.
And I mean, exercise and I have been friends for a very long time. The only times when, we've been on again, off again, me and working out, but the only times when we've been off is, when I was off. I was on the sauce.
That toxic relationship.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, working out, getting your physical body in good shape and feeling good otherwise is going to make staying sober a lot easier.
I feel like everybody that I talk to literally says the exact same thing. Maybe not the exact same way, but they say the exact same thing. And I preach to the choir all the time. Like, hey, if you just do these things. But I mean, it goes to show so many of you that I have conversations with have done the exact same things in a different way than I have, but the same thing. Mm-hmm. And look, you all are succeeding at sobriety. And here I am using my hand, and somebody's going to comment. She uses her hands.
Oh, don't worry. When I'm on virtual meetings, I point at the screen. Like, I'm like, right here. And no one can see what I'm pointing at.
Oh my gosh, I do the same thing as I was like wiping your face earlier. Right. There was a spot. Okay. Yeah. Oh man. So where do you see your journey going next?
Well, there's so much potential, and I don't have to worry about dealing with everything, with a hangover. I don't have to worry about falsifying emotions. I don't have to worry about creating false senses of intimacy or vulnerability anymore. So everything I have is genuine. So my next step in life, who knows where things will go, but I would like to have a family, I hope.
So we're going to scare this new boyfriend. So you want to marry, you want to get married and have kids. So.
Well, that's the ultimate goal, right? So yeah, no, we're still just, it's a
new thing. Very new. So does he drink?
No.
Awesome. Where'd you find him?
No, that is one thing that's nice about the whole online dating thing. You can put certain things on your profile, and it's just right out there in the beginning. I don't drink.
And capital letters.
Yeah, and I did find that I just, put that I didn't drink. I didn't put sober. Don't know if I do it that same way again or not, but
Yeah. Well, I know sometimes I get weird about saying sobriety versus quitting drinking because I feel like there's a difference in, hey, I quit drinking versus, oh, I got sober. Like just the stereotype of the word sobriety. And I don't like the stereotype that comes with it. But at the same time, we are sober. Yeah. But I mean, you were a little worse off than I was. I wasn't physically dependent on it, or I didn't get life flighted. Um,
moved by helicopter to a new city.
I mean, I could have gotten life flighted because I hurt myself really bad while I was drinking, probably a few times. But I mean, the stereotype of the typical city, and you just envision it when you say sober, you see this old man with a paper bag up against a brick wall. Like that's how it looks, I guess. But I mean, what is your thoughts on people that say sober curious?
Um, I think it's great because to me now, when I see that term, I'm thinking like this is now like going mainstream. Like it's cool. It's starting to be cool to be
Right.
sober. Like, oh man, why couldn't it have been cool when I was a kid? And like that's all I grew up with. You know, I love it because and I also love the word curious because anyone that knows me knows my favorite word is why. And curiosity is so important for so many things in life, but I think it definitely is important for sobriety because even, as it applies to sober curious is to me, I think of learning about what not drinking is. Yep. Learning about different ways of looking at things. And then if you decide to quit drinking, then you still got to be curious, because you've got to start learning more about yourself. You got to start finding out why you do what you do, what drives you, what motivates you, what triggers you, all of that. So curious, put that after any word. And I am like pretty excited about it. I mean, not after, yeah, anyway.
I'm my sure
it's just yeah. Anyway, I went down in the gutter like I normally do, but anyway. No, curiosity is a wonderful thing. I don't think you can ever learn too much.
It didn't kill the cat.
I don't think so. Mine are still here. And my one little cat tried to put her hand right in her her paw right in my candle the other day, and she's still here. So yeah, I need to do it.
See, it doesn't kill the cat. It actually like makes your life better. Maybe. Well, yeah. Maybe not for the paw, but.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I could talk to you all night, and like I feel like there's so much more deeper pieces to your puzzles.
Mm.
There's a lot. When did you start drinking?
The very first time I drank was, I believe I was in 8th grade. It was one time with my very best friend, and like we can't drink that much because I don't even remember feeling bad the next day. And all we did was play Mario Kart on her Nintendo 64. Yeah. And then, I did drink in high school, not like a few times. Like it wasn't a lot ever. I really didn't start drinking until I got together with my ex-husband. He's not dead. Is 16 years older than me. And I got married when I was 19.
He robbed the cradle.
Or I robbed the grave, something like that. Whatever it was. Yeah. So having an older group of friends that drank, it was really easy to get into doing every day, and being in the service industry, all of that made it easy to start doing every day at a not all the way legal age, because people would serve me. They're like, "You're out to dinner with these old people? Sure." You're old enough to drink.
Right, you fit right in. Oh man, yeah, I can see how that would lead you down a path.
Mm-hmm.
Especially up there, like it's probably party central a lot of the times.
Yeah. And it's, when you're working in the service industry and it's, let's see, what's that time in the winter when there's those 2 weekends?
Oh, yeah.
2 straight weeks of hell. I'm not a fan. I'm never going back for that.
No, we've gone twice, and one day we just went for the day, and then like a couple years later, we ended up getting a cabin with a couple other families, and it was, I was like, why are we doing this? Like, what is the point? What is the point? The ice sculptures? Is that the only point of it? Like, I didn't understand.
Parade. I guess just to be in the snow. For me, it just meant I can't get to work. I can't take a left turn anywhere. I can't do anything. I got to once I finally do get somewhere kind of close to work, then I've got to walk through the snow to get in there because they want us to leave all the regular parking for the customers. And no.
They should just open up the lake as a parking lot.
Well, global warming, it's not even freezing all the way anymore. Don't even have that.
Oh man. Oh, could you imagine? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you ended up drinking in pretty much your early 20s is when your drinking took off.
Yeah, early 20s, and then I just hit it hard for a decade.
I'm right there with you, girl. I so appreciate you being on here, and I could talk to you for hours. So
we'll get together for coffee or something sometime soon.
Yes, since we're right here with each other. Yes. Well, thank you for sharing your story, and I can't wait to see how far you come and where your relationship goes.
Me too.